Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Let me get my captions and everything right. Uh, oh man, you guys, this weekend, we're not even gonna talk about this week. This week, we're not even go. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Happy Monday. There we go. Happy Monday to everybody. And yeah, we're just gonna jump into it. I have three articles that I want to share with you guys. And I want to share pacer minutes with you guys of the case so far so that you guys can catch up and be up to speed. Good morning to everybody. Shout out to the 36 in the chat. I have not read or seen any of this stuff because my weekend has been full of you follow me on social media, you know I've been with the grandkids, and I just kind of like needed a palate cleanser from the trial. Like, just let me. And I've been diving into the R. Kelly case. If you guys are not watching The Plain is Jane, you need to follow her. The R. Kelly case, in my opinion, is worse than this. I mean, it's bad. So we're just gonna jump right into this. I'm going to do the three articles, and I've tried to put everything in order so we can just go with the flow, and then I will check all the. I'll go back and check the comments. So let me get this. Let me get this absolutely right because I just want to go from one to the other real quick. I don't want to, have to like stop and do this, stop and do that. All right, we're gonna do the window. Hey, hey. All right, let's get into this. We're gonna go prosecutor Tim Norman, Sweetie Pie star, murdered his nephew for insurance payout. Now, this was on yesterday, September the 11th. This is when this particular article went out Wednesday, marked the second day of the Sweetie Pie's murder for hire trial. Reality TV star James Timothy Norman is on trial for murder of his nephew Andre Montgomery Jr., whom he is accused of conspiring to have killed so as to collect on a life insurance policy. And let me just be clear about my commentary today. I do not feel like censoring myself, so uh, this video may not be monetized. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just sometimes I just get tired of it, and I'm just like, you know, I get tired of saying initials of words. I just want to read the article. So it may be half monetized, it may not be monetized at all, but I'm just gonna, spit it out and be done with it. So let's move on. The prosecution told jurors that the accused was desperate for money around the time his nephew was killed, according to a St. Louis Post Dispatch report. The evidence will prove in its actuality, plan Assistant U.S. Attorney Gwendolyn Carroll said on her opening remarks. One text exhibit in the prosecution's hand indicates that 2 months before the killing, Norman allegedly told a cousin that he had recently been evicted from his St. Louis apartment and had more than $91,000 in monthly, but no income from the TV show. So we saw in another article last week where this statement started circulating, and it has come to my knowledge that Tim possibly or was picked up allegedly at his mother's house. That was not his apartment. That was Miss Robbie's home or apartment or whatever. So because he had been evicted, and so maybe that was one of the reasons he was so easy to find or whatever. We don't know um, yet, but we probably will find out because Robbie is taking the stand today. Okay. The article goes on to tell a little bit about them being celebrities on the Sweetie Pie show, the total count of the show, and them going to where Travell and Hill um, shot Andre, and says that he was paid the $5,000 for the job. If anything, his client was but a concerned uncle and successful celebrity, is what Leonard is standing on. According to attorney Leonard Norman, he applied for the life insurance policies on his nephew because Montgomery's rising rap career saw him getting into, trouble. So that's what they're standing on at this particular point. Moving on to the next article, we're going to look at Fox 2 now. Phone records establish the timeline challenge claim in Sweetie Pie's murder for hire trial. And this is what I was really interested in because I wanted to know exactly where Tim was. Was he in Mississippi? Was he in St. Louis? Where was Tim at the time all of this happened? Now knowing that Tim had two phones, his regular phone and a burner phone, and possibly a third phone, um, where exactly was Tim? So hopefully this article will give us some insight on that. St. Louis federal agents testified on records from several cell phones Friday on the fourth day of trial for Tim Norman. Evidence presented Friday outlined records from five phones, including two prepaid phones activated on the day of the deadly shooting. So, yeah, Tim had to have had two phones because there's four people and five phones. So Tim had the two phones. So I was right on that. I'm sure. Prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Missouri said that Tim Norman took out the $450,000 life insurance policy, and we went over all of that, how it was all clumped together and everything. Miss Robbie founded Sweetie Pies in 1996, the restaurant Montgomery family oriented and all of that stuff. So it is considered a family business, but the owner and the millionaire is Robbie Montgomery. In testimony Friday, FBI agents Bastine Fruin, an intelligence analyst we talked about before, Andrew Wood explained records that had investigated from five numbers, including three connected with Norman and two connected with Terica Ellis on March 14, 2016. The records indicate a claim Norman made about where he was when his nephew was killed, which was previously cited in court, may not have been consistent with his actual location. Ellis, which we know was an exotic dancer. She was living in Memphis, Tennessee. She is accused of setting Andre up and tipping off Norman. You know, that was her job in all of this. Ellis says that Norman offered her the $10,000 to help him with Andre. We found out last week that they were in an intimate relationship. Um, so that Tim was possibly cheating on his girlfriend with Ellis at the time, we don't know. Um, but it looks like the relationships could have overlapped depending on when he got involved with his current girlfriend. But at the time, Ellis says that they were in an intimate relationship. So now that kind of plays a part in why she got more than the shooter, because it wasn't making sense to me. Let's move on to the FBI findings. Fraud's testimony focused on how cell towers provided data on the approximate locations of Norman and Ellis during different events. He stated while the cell phone towers might not give an exact location due to restrictions with GPS towers around, the St. Louis metropolitan area are divided within three sectors that could help determine if the area of alleged events is consistent with the general area of the phone's location. Such records found that two prepaid phones were activated in the area of a Walgreens in the 1400 block of Lindell Boulevard in the afternoon hours. Based on the evidence presented, the first voice actively between two prepaid phones involved a call between one another at 1:23 p.m. Within the same hour, Ella says she communicated with Montgomery on her other phone. Cell phone towers records later revealed that Ellis' prepaid phone was in the same general area of a meetup Montgomery earlier in the day at a La Quinta Inn in Hazelwood, a trip to the Galleria, and the scene of the crime in the 3900 block of Natural Bridge Road, all happenings which she testified about on Wednesday. Records also show a change of towers for Ellis' prepaid phone around 8:03 p.m., indicating a change in location minutes after the murder. Records from the prepaid phone assigned to Norman revealed that he was in the of Chase Park Plaza Hotel before 4 p.m. and a U.S. bank off of Lindell Boulevard around 5 p.m. So the first meetup was also traced to a Google account involving a witness nicknamed DJ Beats, who met with Norman's hours before Montgomery's death. Tower records revealed multiple calls from Norman to Ellison Travell Hill, the accused triggerman, who also previously pled guilty from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the night Montgomery was killed. Following Montgomery's death, records from cell phone towers tracked the general location of Norman's assigned prepaid phone to the area around Lambert Airport. So the records are contrary to a 2018 text thread cited as evidence Thursday, okay? In the exchange, Norman had given YL, his personal insurance agent, approval to process with an insurance claim in which the company needed documentation that he was cleared in Montgomery's murder. During that conversation cited in Norman said he was in California, not St. Louis, at the time of Montgomery's death. By the next morning, FBI investigators say the prepaid phones were no longer in service. The last traced activity from Ellis came just before midnight on March 14, 2016, near Memphis. The last traced activity from Norman came around 1:50 a.m. on March 15th around the Lambert Airport area. In addition to the phone records, FBI agents reviewed airline flight information to one of the numbers by Norman to book a flight from St. Louis to Los Angeles. That flight left around the time the prepaid phone was last active. Okay? Interesting, right? Very interesting. Lies, lies, and more lies from Tim Norman. All right, let's move on. Testimony turns to defense, right? The prosecution rested its case early Friday afternoon, turning testimony over to defense. So, Ed Chandler Sr., known to Norman and others as Big Ed, was the only other witness aside from federal agents to testify, recalling that he remembered from the last time he saw Andre in person. Chandler said he was working in a security role at the Sweetie Pie's location near Limburg and 170 on the day that Montgomery was killed, and started his shift around 4 p.m. Others informed him that Montgomery was at the restaurant. So Chandler says that he took a picture of Montgomery after speaking to him and sent it to Tim, and an acquaintance known as Boy Chris, since it was unusual for him to be at the restaurant. Hmm. That was the last time Chandler recalls seeing Montgomery in person, and he left the restaurant after grabbing a bite to eat. Chandler says he did not receive another message back from Norman or Chris on Montgomery's stop. So, whatever. Phone records cited in court indicate that Norman didn't contact Chandler until around 1:35 a.m. on March 15th, less than an hour before his booked flight took off from St. Louis. During that phone call, Chandler says that Norman told him to call his mother and meet her at St. Louis police headquarters. According to his testimony, Norman told Chandler that he was out of town and did not specify the exact reason he needed Tim to go to the police headquarters. So Chandler says that he was unaware of Norman's exact location or Montgomery's death before he made the trip to headquarters. Chandler noted in testimony that he had never noticed any acts of rage or violence from Norman. So we know whose side he's on, right? Friday's testimony comes after FBI agents Daniel Root and James Applebaum took the stand late Thursday to read text messages as evidence. Remember, we talked about the text messages that were going to be released as evidence. So they have already read the text messages as evidence of conversations involving Norman from 2014 to 18 regarding a life insurance policy on Montgomery in 2014 exchanged with YL before Montgomery's death. A text message informing him to act like you're Andre in order to get a life insurance policy approved. Wow. Seriously? Act like you're Andre. YL, who has not testified in Norman's trial, was indicted in August 2020 on count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. Do y'all hear that? Because somebody told me I was lying yesterday. YL Yagnam, who has not testified in Norman's trial, was indicted in August 2020 on one count of conspiracy to commit wire mail fraud. He pleaded guilty in July 2022. Both Yagnam and Ellis will be sentenced on October 26th. So we were correct. Both Yagnam and Ellis will be sentenced on October 26th. Put that on your calendar. Sentencing is October 26th for YL and Ellis, okay? The judge says that he will reach out to government officials in an effort to contact attorneys for Yagman and see if he might be available or able to testify next week, which would be this week, which at this particular I haven't seen any evidence of him resurfacing. So it's not mandatory, but they were trying to subpoena him to come. He's already given a statement on audio, which will be played in court or probably has already been. But they wanted him to testify today. So if he, I don't know even why I was about to say if he doesn't show up, which he probably won't, um, they do have his statement on audio. So moving right along for that, and the life insurance policy that was unlimitedly issued through foresters, which we talked about last week, remember? Norman obtained a $200,000 life in policy with the $200 accidental and the $50 10-year rider. Earlier in the trial, four insurance representatives testified. Prosecutors alleged Norman attempted to conceal this plan from Andre. On one application filed, Yachman, the base policy was set at exactly 249,999, which we talked about last week as well, a single dollar below a trigger amount set by the insurancer that would have required Andre to take a medical exam. So now we know that he put someone up to act like he was Andre. So if YL was tricked by Tim and didn't know he was actually speaking to Andre on the phone, then this is why Tim had someone to pretend um, that they were Andre on the phone. After two federal witnesses testified Friday, no other government witnesses are expected to testify in the trial. The judge has dismissed the jury for the weekend, and testimony will resume Monday, which is today. So we've gotten through that particular article. This is wild. Every day we look at this trial, something else that Tim has done or it surfaces, and it's just crazy. I can't even deal with this guy. Like, anyway, FBI agents' testimony at whereabouts of Sweetie Pie's reality star during nephew's murder. It's day four on this particular article of a high-profile murder trial involving James Timothy Norman. He is accused of being behind a murder-for-hire scheme to kill his nephew. There is a video, and we're going to go ahead and watch this video and see exactly what ksdk.com has to report.
Now at 6, a reality TV star will have to wait a little longer to learn his fate. The prosecution for a high-profile murder-for-hire trial rested its case today. Court will resume Monday. Good evening. I'm Brent Solomon. Welcome to Sweetie Pie's reality TV star Tim Norman is accused of plotting to kill his nephew, Andrew Montgomery Jr. Now at 6, our Justina Cornell has been covering this trial since the very beginning. She's live from the federal courthouse in downtown St. Louis. Tell us.
Yeah, Brent. So we heard from two FBI agents who were able to track down where Norman was on the day of the murder. Now, these agents went step by step from flight details to cell phone tower pings. Their testimony shares Norman flew from California to St. Louis early in the morning on the day his nephew was killed. Montgomery was killed at 8:02 in the evening. They also shared travel records showing Norman leaving St. Louis just a few hours after the shooting. Now, they also revealed in a text from 2018, Norman allegedly telling his lawyer he was in California at the time of the shooting. Now, the government rested their case today, and the defense brought its first witness. He was a security guard at the restaurant and knew Norman well. He described Norman as someone who was always truthful and nonviolent. Now, court has wrapped up for the day, and it will resume on Monday at 9 a.m. The defense will bring more witnesses, and of course, we'll be in the courtroom to tell you more of the details coming up next week. Reporting live for now, Justina. More now. Violence.
All right, so that was the
And we'll
report
tell
from
you more
them.
details before coming.
And the same thing popped up on my phone just a minute ago. Sorry about that. So, that right there was about the same thing that we saw a minute ago. So, I'm going to head on over to Pacer and see exactly what we have. All right, here we go. We have a lot. We have a lot on the 11th that was filed. And I am going to try to start from the beginning and work my way down. So I'm going to start with 363. I think is the first one. 363. Are you guys doing okay? Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I'm going to go to comments after we finish all the paperwork and stuff. Are you guys with me? Drop some teacups in the chat. If you guys are with me, let me know you're still there. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. All right, defendant Timothy Norman's motion to compel the testimony of defendant Wael Yagnam based on his previous waiver and untimely um, assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege. So, defendant Tim Norman, by and through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully moves this court to the entry of an order compelling the testimony of defendant Wagnam at the trial and states as follows. Number one, on September 9th, 2022, the court ordered that defendant Wael Yagnam appear with counsel in court at 9 a.m. on Monday, which would be today. Number two, the same day contacted counsel for Yagnam by telephone and informed Yagnam's counsel of the court's order. Number three, subsequently, sorry about that. Subsequently, the government filed a response to the court's order regarding Yagnam's appearance. Number attached to the government's response as Exhibit 1 is a letter dated September 9, 2022, from counsel for Yagnam to the government. In the letter, Yagnam's counsel, and it's what was said in the letter, I guess why he, okay, if they had contacted either party, I would have notified the parties. So basically, in this, I mean, Wael wasn't available. Today is the day. So in this, here almost 2 years ago on October 2022, Yagman chose to waive his Fifth Amendment rights um, and to consent to a lengthy and detailed recorded custodial interview on all of the subject areas um, that will pose to him as a witness. So he did do the interview, um, and that's the only thing that he committed to during the lengthy and detailed interview. Yagman made statements both material and favorable to Mr. Norman. Favorable to Mr. Norman. Okay, guys, y'all hear that? During the lengthy and detailed interview, Yagman made statements both material and favorable to Mr. Norman. Okay, at no time during the interview did Yachman or his counsel ever assert his Fifth Amendment privilege against self incrimination. Okay, significantly, as noted above, Mr. Brutringer, sorry if I butchered your name, Mr. Brutenscher, Yachman's own attorney, not only attended the interview, he also participated in it. Posting certain questions to Yachman concerning the Americo and Forster's applications. Yagnam's counsel only now provides notification of Yagnam's intent to assert his privileges against self incrimination and refuse to testify. It is too late. As the Supreme Court explained in Roberts versus United States, Fifth Amendment privilege against compelled self incrimination is not self executed, at least where the government has no substantial reason to believe that the requested disclosures are likely to be incriminating. If Yagman believed that his statements made during the interview were privileged pursuant to the Fifth Amendment, Yagman was required to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights at the time, particularly where he had counsel presented during the lengthy interview who actually participated. So they're saying late for him and he needs to come in. This was document 363. Let me see if there's a 364. There is in document 364. Okay, it looks like it is open. It's not sealed. The defendant, Timothy Norman's motion to compel the testimony of Christopher Carroll based on the previous waiver and ultimately assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege. So that's going to be the same thing. Ooh, y'all. Y'all be going in. Which one is this? To compel testimony of Christopher Carroll. Y'all be going in. Boy, I said Tim's attorney. Tim's attorney will file a motion for any and everything, y'all. I swear. 366 is sealed. Okay. So we're not going to get any information on that. It may be open on the 14th, in which y'all know I will let y'all know. United States motion in Lyman to exclude improper character evidence of defendant and victim and to permit impeachment of its character witness. And this is about procedural background. Ed Chandler as a witness. Yeah, this is about the same thing. It has it's looking like Tim Norman is his attorneys are going after everybody that's going to take the stand. So no matter who's going to take the stand, the only thing that I have not seen is them going after Miss Robbie. And I'm going to assume that's because Miss Robbie is on Tim's side. So I'm just going to click on the ones that we haven't went through. This is about the character witness again, trying to censor what the witness says on the stand, opinion or reputation. So asking the witness to watch what they say about opinion and reputation. Mr. Norman objects to the intent the government seeks to prelude him from enlightening reputation or opinion evidence offered in accordance with limitations of federal rules of evidence 404, 405. Oy vey. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's not going to go through. These people are going to testify. They're going to be allowed to testify and they're going to be allowed to say what they want to say as the trial moves on. The trial is supposed to go on through the rest of the week, is what they are expecting or suspecting that it's going to go through. So for the remainder of the week, order regarding admissibility of co-conspirator statements. So they're allowing the co-conspirator statements. The preliminary determination of the admissibility of an alleged co-conspirator statement is to be determined by the trial jury. Remember last week when we went over, I think it was like Thursday or Friday when we went over the rules and regulations that the judge set forth for the jury. This is kind of like a little reminder, and he's letting you know that uh, be determined by the trial judge rather than the jury. Okay. Determination admissibility. The determination of admissibility. Okay, that's going to be ruled by the judge and not the jury. So if the judge, deems what they are saying is okay, then the jury can take it into consideration. And if the judge says it's not okay, then they are to forget it ever happened. So everything else, it looks like that was put in on the 11th, you guys, they literally were just going after everybody that was going to take the stand, like literally, which again to me is stupid. Like, why? Just stop. I don't understand, you guys. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's not as, I mean, I guess I don't get it because I'm not a judge. I'm not on the jury. I'm not an attorney. So I don't understand what it does. Does it do something in Tim's favor that they, continue to do this, or does it just look good as a fight? We're fighting, for you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's these things aren't doing any good. The judge is just like, no, they're gonna take the stand. No, they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me, but like I said, I'm not an attorney, so to me, it just seems like a waste of time. This is a defendant's written supplement to his oral rule 29A motion for a judgment of acquittal. And it is standard under rule number 29. As the court well knows, 129 requires the entry of a judgment of acquittal, where after reviewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the United States, the court finds that no rational tier of tract could have um, found the essential elements of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, and they base this on Jackson versus Virginia. Wiles is an undoubtedly difficult standard to meet, where the government's evidence is equally strong to infer innocence as to infer guilt. The verdict must be one of not guilty, and the court has a duty to direct an acquittal. Okay, the Supreme Court has also explained that while a mere, I don't know what this is, a mere modicum or modicum of evidence may satisfy a no evidence standard, it could not by itself rationally support a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. This is Jackson 443 US at 330. So they're basing all of these on things that have already happened. Wood versus the United States, and stuff like that. Conspiracy to commit murder for hire. I don't see what they're basing this on, but based on the evidence presented, no rational tier of fact could find that the government satisfied its burden to prove each of the elements of conspiracy to commit murder for hire beyond a reasonable doubt. See, here's the thing that's scaring me, and I'm going to get to you guys' comments because I cannot wait to see this right here is what's freaking me out about this whole case. Is they keep saying this: based on the evidence presented, no rational tier of fact could find that the government satisfied its burden to prove each of the elements of conspiracy to commit murder for hire beyond a reasonable doubt. Specifically, none of the evidence, even when considered in the light most favorable to the government, proves that number one, there was an agreement to murder Andre Montgomery, which there isn't a written agreement. Okay, and maybe Tim knew this. He didn't put anything in writing. He didn't really verbalize that this is, what it was. So that part is freaking me out. They're gonna take this into consideration. I guarantee you, they're going to take this into consideration. So that's freaking me out. Number two, Mr. Norman knew of this agreement to murder Andre Montgomery. Number three, Mr. Norman intentionally joined this agreement to murder Andre Montgomery. Or number four, that Mr. Norman or someone else who had joined this agreement to kill Andre Montgomery knowingly used a cellular telephone with the intent that the murder of Andre Montgomery be committed. Indeed, the government's own evidence establishes that Mr. Norman had no knowledge of an agreement to murder Andre Montgomery. My God. Much less Mr. Norman sent a shooter to murder Andre Montgomery, as the government explained its opening statement. That evidence would prove. Instead, the evidence presented during the government's case in chief established that number one, Mr. Norman did not give Terica Ellis $10,000 to find Andre. That is not true. And they're basing this on Ellis's testimony. Mr. Norman didn't give Terica $10,000 to find Andre. So what was the money for then? What did she testify? Number two, Mr. Norman gave Terica Ellis $5,000 when she asked him for money for her boutique. Jesus. Part of the $5,000 Mr. Norman paid. Where's the boutique? Where's the boutique then? Part of the $5,000 Mr. Norman paid Ellis was to help him find Andre so he could get the money and jewelry Andre stole from his grandmother's home. It's a lie. That is not true. Andre didn't commit any burglary. Number 4. Mr. Norman never said he wanted anyone to harm, much less murder Andre. Number 5. Mr. Norman never made any mention that he was the beneficiary of any life insurance policy for Andre, but he was. He didn't mention it to Ellis and Hill, and that was their testimony, that Tim never said, "Hey, I have insurance policy out for Andre," which it doesn't matter because you did. YL knows this. Ellis never believed Andre would be harmed. We already know she testified that she didn't know. She thought that Tim's boys just wanted to, beat him up or something, or get the stuff back or whatever. Homeboy Travell Hill never told Ellis that he had a gun. Homeboy Hill never told Ellis that he intended to harm or kill Andre. This was in Ellis's testimony, okay? White boy Chris never discussed murdering Andre, which was in Hill's testimony. This aggravates the snot out of me. Like, I'm not even kidding. The more I read this, the more aggravated I get. Hill never talked to Tim about Andre's murder, even after Andre's murder. This was in Hill's testimony. Hill decided to purchase a .380 firearm because he didn't think it would do anything to Andre. Travell Hill decided to purchase a .380 firearm because he didn't think it would do anything to Andre. Number 12. On the day of Andre's murder, Hill had been using Molly, pure ecstasy, all day. That's Hill's testimony. Hill told on himself and said he had been using Molly all day. Number 13. Mr. Norman never asked Hill to harm or murder Andre. That was in Hill's testimony. So For me, how I'm feeling and the commentary I'm going to say is that Tim was very careful with his communication to these people. But, we're not stupid. We know that we can, say things enticingly. And this is just my commentary. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth or whatever, but I'm just saying, you can persuade, you can elude, um, influence. You know what I'm saying? That there's a lot of different words that you can use when you want someone to get what you're saying and you want someone to do something. Um, you don't have to say, "I want you to kill so and so." You know what I'm saying? But there are conversations and there are actions. Leading from when Travell and Tim started tracking Andre on social media. So this is, this kind of frazzled my nerves right here. I don't like this. This. I do not like this. I don't like this. The court explained that the intent to pay someone to commit murder is a crucial element of a murder for hire charge. We know that nothing in the record suggested an agreement or intention to commit the underlying offense, coupled with the fact that the defendant did not know that anyone would be paid to commit a murder, and that the defendant party to any conversation pertaining to an exchange of money for the murder and had no knowledge about those conversations. The defendant, therefore, could not have been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt that he had agreed and or intended to commit the underlying offense, as the record could not sustain such a guilty verdict. Similarly, none of the evidence presented against Mr. Norman in the case provides he knew of, much less agreed to, an agreement to commit the murder, the Andre Montgomery, for any gain, especially pecuniary gain, especially any um, financial gain. I just cannot believe like I know this is his attorney's job. I know that, but it's just I'm just like, are you serious right now? I mean, they're really painting this guy as complete innocent. Count two charges Mr. Norman with the murder for hire in violation of 18 USC 1958 and 2 in order to the convicted murder for hire. The government must prove that number one, a person at or about charged used or caused another to use any facility or interstate commerce. And number two, the use of any interstate facility was done with the intent that a murder be committed in violation of the laws of the state of Missouri. So you're telling me that the reason Andre lost his life was because Hill was playing with a gun that he bought because he was using all day and he didn't think the gun was going to hurt Andre. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta be honest. Like, I'm just really not happy about this at all. Like, my buttons have been pushed reading this. Cross examine, yeah, something, because this just, I mean, I never, this is something that I never thought of. That I never thought of the way Tim communicated to his little team of minions would play a part in the trial. I never thought that. I don't know why it totally didn't cross my mind. I don't know how that went over my head, but I never thought about the way he may be smarter than I thought. Tim is smarter than I thought, because I was not thinking that at all. On YouTube, we aren't supposed to say predator, but we can pee and people know what we're talking about. I told y'all at the beginning, I'm not censoring myself, and I'm not in the mood for all the censoring and stuff today. So if this video doesn't get monetized, it's totally fine. I just am not in the mood for all that. So it is what it is. If it gets partially monetized, fine. If it doesn't get monetized, fine. Like today, I'm just not in the mood for, trying to censor my words and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm not in that frame of mind right now. Um, so I did make a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, and the higher powers will do what they see necessary. Okay, if those jury believe the statement about Travell was playing with a gun, that's what I'm saying. So you were on Molly and you were playing with the gun, and you bought that particular gun because you didn't think it would do anything. Like, who purchases a gun and says, "Oh, it's not going to do anything"? People purchase guns because it will do something, not because it won't do something. And Travell is pretty much taking responsibility and taking the blame. Basically, is what it's looking like. That's what it's looking. That's what it sounds like. That's what. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Tim's attorneys are pretty dang good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. That right there frazzled my nerves because I didn't think about that one element. The way you communicate. Listen, this defense is a renowned veteran trial attorney. He's out to win. That's his job. All he needs is reasonable doubt, and he has got it. He got reasonable doubt. He got reasonable doubt. Yeah, yeah. It's not a slam dunk. It's definitely not a slam dunk, and we still have some days to go. So it's not over. The fat lady has not sung yet. It's not over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Gail. Like, there are, ways that you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need someone to ask questions, like, not just, did he ever tell you to murder Andre? But, did he ever, allude to the fact, or did he ever, say this, or did he ever mention that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I need for somebody to come in and, knock all of this out of the water. Like, you know what I'm saying? I need the home team to win it like Alabama just won it this weekend. Like, for real. I need that kind of play. I need, because if they win this case and Tim walks free because of this technicality, I will lose all faith in the judicial system. Was there any evidence to show that Andre could have been behind the robbery? No, he was cleared. I told you guys he was cleared, I think, in Thursday's video. Was it Thursday or Friday's video that Andre was cleared? We found that out. So Andre talked enough and gave enough evidence to where um, he had an alibi and he was cleared of that. So um, he does not have that hanging over his name. He's not, a thief as Tim tried to paint him out in court. So yeah, which I was like, thank God for that, because that would have been something everybody always wondered about, his family, his mom and stuff. And so Michelle can clear her mind of that, like her son is not a theft. And after everything that Miss Robbie did for him and for the family, he would never rob his own grandmother. Like, that's ridiculous. They left too much on the table. Yeah, Courtney. Yeah, they left too much on the table. It's your channel, I understand, but I won't use the. Oh, no, no, it's fine. I just, I was just saying, for me, like, I just, you know how it is, Gail. You're a content creator. Sometimes you just, today I'm just over it. I just, the censorship becomes too much. It didn't used to be like this on YouTube. Um, and when you get into true crime and investigation and all that, and having to censor yourself and play the word game, Tim is playing enough word games for all of us right now. So, and today is just not one of those days. So I just, it's not that I don't care about my monetization, I do. I just, today is just one of those days where I'm just over it. So do forgive me, I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in my 50s. I'm 51 years old now, and I'm just, I feel like I should have done this on my podcast station instead. But yeah, I knew I made a commitment on YouTube. So anyway, shout out to the 292. Let's keep going. Um, Tim is not smart. Tim is evil. His attorneys are thinking of all of these ways to get him. His mom had to pay good. I tell you what, if she consistently is paying for those attorneys, she's going to be broke. Mm-hmm. I hope not, because she's um she's a black millionaire, and I hope she stays that way. She's in the millionaires club, you guys. um and like I said, regardless of the status of her restaurants, um her wealth is rising. She made some good investments. Miss Robbie is a good businesswoman, and she has some good money men. Her advisors are pretty good. So that I could definitely say I'm proud. Shout out to the mods in the house. I appreciate you guys for keeping it clean in the chat. Thank you so much. Sharon, hi. Um, you're not in the mood for the line of BS. You purchased a gun that don't work. That's BS. You know what I'm saying? Like, you purchased a gun, and you are like, just, I was on some stuff that day. You know what I'm saying? I did have to sneak that in there, roll tide. Oh my god. Wait, what now? Coco TV, hey girl, Coco T 51 where had to drop out of the bush. Black don't crack. Yup, 51. My daughter's 30. My oldest granddaughter is 6, going on 7. And I just left my youngest granddaughter. She's 1. She won't be 2 until next year, but we had Grandparents' Day. And so, yeah, had Grandparents' Day this morning. That's why I'm up so early. I had to go by the daycare and play with her and have breakfast. Shout out, y'all. 314 in the chat. Keep those comments coming. I love you guys' comments. Thank you so much. Tim has had many lawyers in the past, and they all left because they stole BS, and they started. He was guilty, and they weren't going to lose their license over Tim. It's not that the attorneys wasn't. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but wow, man, like that just frazzled my nerves. He was careful in some of the things that he was doing. It was kind of like he said, I don't really, it doesn't matter if I do this or if it doesn't matter that I'm not going to say this, that, and the third. The fact that Tim actually did not communicate in a regular street fashion gives me pause. The fact that his attorneys noticed this. And Tim probably said, because I can see him sitting, in a meeting, saying, I didn't tell him to do that. I never said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, is anybody getting that? I never told anybody to kill anybody. I never told Terica that. And it seemed like Terica rolled over, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I guess she's trying to tell the truth or whatever because they were in a relationship at that time and she did get her money, but at the same time, aren't you going to spend some jail time? Didn't you already confess? So are you really, standing up for Tim at this point? Gail said Tim may not go to prison for one thing. However, there are other things the FBI can charge. It's not justice if he isn't found guilty for murdering Andre. Right. Yeah, Vicky, I believe that. I totally believe that. And if Andre was a thief, that does not give him a reason to track him down like a dog. Right. Because what other reason would you have for tracking Andre's whereabouts and his movement on social media? That doesn't make sense to me. And I guess that's the only way Tim could actually keep track of Andre because they didn't have the relationship that Tim claimed they had in court. Um, I'm hoping that we hear that in testimony from Miss Robbie because if she tells the truth, she knows that Tim and Andre did not have a great relationship. So I'm hoping that her testimony in court today, she's, truthful. Um, and they ask her about that. Tim knew not to inform all of those who played a part. Right. Exactly, SA. I don't think Terica knew, but I wish she had called the cops after she found out Andre was gone. That would have made sense. That would have made sense. We forgive you. Thank you. And I understand because the trial should never be going on because the crime should not have, you know, even been committed. Okay, Roberta makes a good point. Facts, premium payments were coming out of Tim's bank account, multiple policies, no payout of any insurance policies. Exactly. They haven't made mention of any lie detector test or anything like that. But I do know that even if someone took a lie detector test, it wouldn't be submissible for some reason. I guess because a lie detector test can be beaten or whatever. I don't know. I think Tim should take a lie detector test, but if it's not submissible in the court of evidence, then what's the point? But at least the people. But knowing Tim, he would try to beat it. So he would. Tim would try to beat the lie detector test. Um, ugh, y'all, frustrating. Frustration. I'm telling you, this is crazy as all get out. The conclusion: for all the foregoing reasons, defendant James Timothy Norman respectfully requests that this court enter a judgment of acquittal on counts 1, 2, and 3 of the superseding indictment. They said that all of these were false statements. As the materiality of the alleged false statements, Mr. Hugh of the United of Omaha, Miss Adams of Royal Neighbors, Miss Collins of Americo, Mr. Parrott of Foresters, and Mr. Sullivan of Foresters all testified to the immateriality of the statements provided on the life insurance application. So they're going after the life insurance. The life insurance policies couldn't be cashed out because they were messed up anyway, basically, in layman's terms. That is the alleged false statements on life insurance policy application. But okay, alleged false statements on whose fault is that? Tim's. Who were simply not so who I mean, we get that part, but who took these policies out in the first place? Tim. So if there was falsified information on the applications, that would be Tim's fault. Yes. Right. He didn't have a beef with Andre. So he was just on drugs. He was just on the Molly. No, as far as I know, Wally's still missing, Angela. The thing is, Terica and the others can sit there and not say anything if they want to. They will look crazy if Tim gets off. They will be doing time. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's ridiculous. That is absurd. That Tim is going to be walking around free, and all three of these people are going to be behind bars for a period of time because of Tim. I just don't think. No. He probably did say, I didn't tell Travell to kill him, but I do have a life insurance policy on. I'm going to try to collect off of his debt. Yeah, that all three of them are saying, well, Travell, Hill, and Terica Ellis had no knowledge of the um, the insurance policies, and they have both testified that Tim didn't tell me that he wanted Andre murdered. So with that being said, um, it's still making them look dumb though, because at the end of the day, there's a reason why all of this happened, and there is a person that had to put all of this in motion, and that person, is Tim. Come on. Who else would give the order? Who else would tell Terica, to go and lure the boy out of the house? Andre. Why else would, you know, Travell be standing out there, looking for, you don't have a beef with this man. So were you just aiming at anybody and that somebody happened to be Andre? Because of Molly? I believed him losing all that weight was also a ploy. He wanted to look a certain way for the jury. Tim may not be as stupid as he looks before he looks intimidating to many, my opinion. Mm, okay. I feel like it's going off lower women's Robbie hits and stands. Her text messages, her testimony will be the end of her son. The courts tried to allude to the fact that Travell had beef and there was no motive for him to do what he did. Exactly. Sharon, thank you. You like the bomb.com, girl. I think Woman's Robbie testifies it will be the end of Tim, her text messages. I mean, Miss Robbie might be the reason he goes. Character was not going to call the cops because Terica wasn't going to call the cops because she was involved in it. You have to remember. Yeah, that's true. You that she could have called the cops, but she was probably scared. Thank you. She was scared and was like, I know I'm doing this for Tim or whatever, but it's still hard to believe that she didn't know, which, like you guys said earlier, it is possible that she didn't know what was going on. But after she heard the gunshot, you know, if Andre is like really my friend, I'm gonna call, at least call his phone back or check on him to see if he's okay. That really, to me, made Terica look so guilty. The fact that she didn't even check on Andre after she heard the gunshot, because she was still in the vicinity. She was more um concerned about what Tim told her to do, for the money. So really, she's saying that she got the $5,000 for her boutique, and then Tim said, "Well, let me give you this $5,000 so you can do this for me." You know what I'm saying? But you're getting evicted from your apartment. You have all of these bills or whatever, and you're paying out thousands of dollars to get something done that you're not saying. Um, in so many words, you're not saying what you want done, but you're just hiring people, to do weird things. You're just hiring people to do weird stuff, and nobody's saying what it is. Well, just Tim wanted me to do this. Tim wanted me to do that. Why? Doesn't it seem weird to you? Like nobody's asking why. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and they ask me to lure somebody out of the house and be like, "What you want with him?" I'm not gonna assume. I just thought Tim wanted him to come out of the house because, his boys wanted to get up. But no, why do you want the boy to come out of the house? Otherwise, I ain't going nowhere to do nothing. And why can't you do it? Shoot, I don't know. Why can't you tell? Why can't you tell, Tim? Why can't you do it yourself? Right. Jackie, I feel you. I feel you, Jackie. I feel you. Andre was not her friend, agreeing to hiding him, even believing it was to get stuff back. Says she wasn't Andre's friend. Yeah, she brought him a pair of pants. Remember, that's why they chose Hill because he's too. He, I mean, he looked a little slow to me in the beginning. He looked a little slow. I'm not gonna lie. He may be a little autistic or something. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lure my friend out for someone looking for him. Exactly, if that's your friend. And apparently, Terica danced for Andre on many occasions at the club, and she was a stripper. So you knew Andre. So did you really have to have a gift for him to come out of the studio? You could have just said, you know, "Hey, friend, come out. Let me talk to you for a minute." It's just so many elements. He was on the molly, but how did he get that exact address and pick out the right person? Exactly. I hear what you're saying, attorney, but still, so many questions. You know what I'm saying? And I hope the other side, they're asking these questions. I think I heard that the hotel room that Andre was staying in got robbed. Yeah, it did. They took his wallet and something else. What did they take? I told you guys that last week. They took a couple of like specific things from his hotel room. Just weird, but it was kind of like they waited for him to leave and took they went in there and robbed his hotel room. And I remember two things specifically. Does anybody remember? If you do, drop it in the chat. But they took two things specifically out of Andre's room. Um, I reported that earlier last week because I found it in an article and I was like, really? That's odd. DJ Beats knew what was going down to and while he needed to test. So DJ Beats was the one that delivered the money to Travell. But this is dumb though. Like, why would Tim give Travell $5,000 for nothing? For drugs? For what? If in fact Travell was just playing around with the gun because he was on Molly and he bought that gun because he didn't think it would hurt Andre. Why were you even aiming at Andre? Like, like, help me make it make sense. Help me make it make sense because it just don't sound right to me. Correct. Who else will give the order? Right. And who else was going to collect off the life insurance? Right. Because the life insurance policies were in his name. So I'm just not understanding, like you're not making much sense. Your attorneys aren't making much sense. And even if, that closing argument is like, oh, okay, they are making sense and I do agree with that. You cannot omit everything that you've already heard in court. Um, but it's not over. It's not over, you guys. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. I hate this. I really hate this so much. I really do. I hate this so much. Mm. I believe Tim lost the weight because his attorneys told him to. Remember, they're all crooks. They could have. It is said that, it wasn't intentional that he lost the weight, that he just doesn't like the food in there. But like I said, you're not going to get T-bone steaks every day in jail. That's not how they roll. Even when you screamed out in court, he didn't do it. That was a setup. He's trying to get. I've never seen Tim cry, so that would have been like, really, Tim, like for real. Ah, ah. Oh Lord, is it too much? Is it too much, you guys? Oh Lord Jesus, is it too much? Oh man, I can't. Is it too much? Cause y'all know. I guess Tim has a lot of time to come up with his Mother Goose stories. Oh, yes, he does. All right, guys. If you guys want a refresher course, make sure to watch this again. I am going to get out of here. Make sure that prayers go up for Andre Montgomery. We're gonna close out with um, Andre here because we never do. And all of this is about Andre Montgomery. So we definitely want him to get justice. It's only fair, it's only right that he gets justice. And we're going to close out with that. Make sure to keep his family in prayer um, because this is vitally important that his name get cleared. Justice for Andre. If you're on social media today and you're talking about the trial, hashtag justice for Andre. Hashtag justice for Andre. All right, we're going to get out of here and I'm going to go take me a sumatriptan for this oncoming migraine because that's one of my problems. But this was fun, an hour and 19 minutes. I love reporting the story to you guys, even though it is taxing and it's trying, and it's really sad. It's important, and I want to say this before I get out of here. Our stories are not told enough. Our stories, our Black communities, our stories aren't told enough. And so if you guys ever run across our stories, hit me up in my DMs, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or even my email, because everybody has stories out there, but you don't really see us enough. And there are great stories out there. There are stories that need to be told. There are stories out there that you know we have unsung heroes out there that nobody even knows about. And so, whether it's funny, whether it's, sad, whether it's critical or whatever, make sure that, you send those stories and that you're talking about these stories. And again, when you're talking about Andre Montgomery today, make sure you put that hashtag justice for Andre because we're all rooting for Andre, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to watch the replay if you're just coming in, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Mwah. Take care, guys.